Hello, 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 everyone. Mike Arnold here, co-founder, Path Trading Partners, along with Bob Iacchino. How is everyone doing? Finally got that rally. Been waiting for from the oversold conditions and the cycle bottoms. So now it's going to be really interesting to see how far this rally can get, because this is where I look to start planning for the next significant leg down. So we shall see. By the way, let's see who's here. Rally mode on. Hope everyone is well. Yes, welcome Amit. Welcome Ken. Well, welcome Abraham. Welcome Jake. Yes, thank you everyone for being here and all the other people on other platforms. Again, really appreciate you being here. So, if you are new here, please consider subscribing, ringing that bell, and hitting the like button. And longer term viewers, please come back and leave some comments and do like the videos. So let's get prepped for tomorrow. Remember, tomorrow 7:30. Let me switch here. There we go. Tomorrow 7:30. Retail sales coming out. That's going to be important to see if it's continuing the slowdown. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate you being here, David. Thank you. Continuing jobless claims, the big number is going to be retail sales. I'm going to be paying a really close attention, though, to import prices month over month and year over year. That's going to be telling. And then at 9 Central Time, Michigan consumer sentiment preliminary. Now it's just preliminary, but it'll be interesting to see how it comes in relative to the forecast and if it is lower than the previous. And then business inventories will be very interesting. And then, of course, in the afternoon, we have more Fed speakers. Is anybody else getting worn out from Fed speak? You know, everything for months is transitory. It's under control. It's under control. Now they're all like, oh, it's not under control, but it's topping out. Well, not based off today's PPI numbers. That's going to get passed along, as much of it as possible. So we will keep an eye on that. Can you explain at some point the relationship between the 8 and 21 EMA and what time frame to look for reversals? What time frame to look for reversals? You got to clarify that question, Ken, because that's a very, I mean, it depends. You could be looking for reversals anywhere from 5 minutes to dailies. Now, or weeklies. The most important rotation zone, which makes up the 821, are 4 hour, daily, and weekly. And then intraday, for trending stuff, I love it on the 15-minute. But I use those generally as target areas and to watch. Again, longer term time frames are more important than shorter time frames. Here's we finally got the bounce in the mega caps. Tesla up, Amazon, Google, Microsoft, Apple. JPM released bad earnings. Well, they missed on EPS. They beat on revenue, but guidance was not good. Down. So, and a lot of other stuff. Pretty much a lot of green on the board coming out of these oversold conditions. FMOC 87%. Just a reminder, this isn't updated, but 45.33 is still the gamma flip tip, and we were at 44.39. So, could it still go up substantially? Yes. Yes, it could. Nice little plays off the morning this morning, but with some of these doubles. I mean, the S&P was a thing of beauty. Breaking above here, a little pullback, and then straight to the first target, then pulling back, and then getting the move on. So you're asking what's the 821 is the best combination I found for watching for reversals below the 8 and above the 21. So in the morning on things that are trending, I watch in the 5 minute. Once it starts crossing in your favor, so rotation, and then right around in a lot of this stuff about late morning, I then use the 15-minute. Why? Because stuff starts slowing down after the early morning rush. So here's seeing your S&P rotation, and I like to do it with prior support and resistance. So break above prior resistance level, it's 44.27 area. retest that area, rotation zone, rotation up. Now it's back in the rotation zone. So, and here's your next key area. So I'd be watching. Now, Asia's session, I would not use the 15-minute rotation zone. But let's just say we were continuing to trade. Let's say the markets were still pumping along. I'd be watching for a pullback rotation in here. Once it gets to overnight, I start watching the 1 and the 4 hour especially. So that was a little move off the open. We outlined that in the market preview today. So hopefully you tuned in the morning and you saw these key levels. We had this little hitch down and then a thing, but this was still on a short-term basis a valid double. We identified this as 13,391, close above it, and then we had 14,506. Now, those are your short-term targets. And then again, here's your 5-minute rotation zone in the morning. Boom, boom, boom. You look at the 15-minute as you get later on, you get, here you go. So that's, again, on trending markets. If something is not trending, I pretty much ignore it. So, you know, if we're not getting some decent momentum, if we're not getting, if we're just in a choppy back and forth market, like this kind of stuff where the rotation zone is flat, I'm not trying to buy anything. I'll wait either for the breakout or the breakdown from it. So Dow real quick, again, you had this sort of turned into a triple since the other two were still staying. I was just watching this for the first price target, 34,226. But then you see even with the rotation pullback, here's your prior resistance becoming support, pullback rotation zone. And you can watch the 15-minute. You can see right there, here, here. So you watch and then you watch for the rotation back up. That's just an example on the indices. So what are we looking at for tomorrow? I'm looking for this move to most likely continue. I'm focusing on it continuing. Let me clean up some of these levels now. So I'm watching for, even with a pullback, potential pullback tonight, I'm watching for continued higher price action. Again, I have on the retracement harmonics. My next major area tomorrow, 34,640 to 34,655. So that's your harmonic projection and your retracement, and that's the 50% sell-off from this retracement. And then above there, minor would be 34,727. Major is 34,800. What's that? That's a 62.5% of this sell-off. Closing above there, and I'm not just talking tomorrow. If we close above there, then I'll be focused on fit 35,125 area. So also I'll be paying attention now to the pullback level of about 34,358 is my key pullback level. Why is that a key pullback level? Because it's major resistance becoming support that was tested already. You see here, it was support turned into resistance on this candle, resistance here, resistance, resistance, breaking through, returning into support, and there's your 1 hour rotation zone. So if we start pulling back after it closes and reopens into the Asian session, that's where I'll be. That's my first level for a key thing I will be watching. Below that, if we pull back more, then I'm using this most recent little swing off today's, essentially today's price action. My next level would be the 50% level, and then major would be the 62.5. So 50% coming in at 34,281, 62.5 coming in at 34,227. Do not want it to get a close below that. If we do, then it's watching for a retest of these lows. And then this bullish move that then favors a multi-bottom pattern, which then keeps shifting into a more substantial breakdown zone. And if that's all the rally that this got out, that would be very, very weak. Especially, remember, we have more banks coming out tomorrow with earnings. So keep that in mind with with everything that's coming out tomorrow. Let me just, where's my, I was looking for my information. Here we go. Is this, yeah, here we go. Sorry about that. Just going to the multiple monitors. Then I'll get back to the questions. Here we go with this. Nothing. I mean, nothing I was paying attention to. But tomorrow morning before the open, you got Wells Fargo, Ally or Ally, I don't know. Goldman Sachs, really important. PNC, U.S. Bancorp, Morgan Stanley, Citi. So this is going to be very also United Health. Remember in the sector analysis, healthcare has been strong, so that's going to be very, very interesting. So there's a lot of stuff to watch for tomorrow morning, which could set the tone. Besides the numbers that come out at 7:30 Central. That's pretty much what I'm watching overnight in everything. If it continues, let's just go over a little pop. My next major thing in the Dow would be right about 34,600. In the NASDAQ, again, your significant resistance we've already tested here, about 14,260. Retest above there. Then once you get above there, we're going into not a super strong clear path on the 1 hour, but on the 4 hour, it's an advanced clear path. But here's your first breakdown zone, and there's your harmonic 14,334, and then you have your next major level 14,385 to 14,400. In the S&P, you still have this. We got to look at the 1 hour now. We still have this advanced clear path. See, we topped out right there, spiking through, but could not get the close above. So minor is 14,446. Then we go to 14,460. And you could do the same analysis in all these markets with your most recent harmonics. Hope everyone knows enough to do that. Russell, tomorrow's going to be interesting. 2026, a break above that with a continuing rally. You have this a little clear path move up here, so there could be a nice little play higher to about 2047 area. Do not ignore 2039 for at least a potential stop raise. Why I'm pointing this out too, you look at this with the harmonics. Look at this. I love how well this stuff lines up. I'm showing some shorter term stuff because this can also be potentially played in IWM. Look at this. Breakdown zone, harmonic, end of this clear path move. It's actually an advanced clear path move, harmonic. Let's see what else we have here. Fed speakers every day that ends in the letter Y. Let's see. We have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Do they speak on Saturday and Sunday? I'm just wondering that, Jake. Sorry, Longs. I hope I did answer some. Mike, do you ever enter trades in the S&P, NASDAQ, or the Dow all at the same time in the same patterns or present? No. I generally pick. I have not done all three. I've done 2 out of 3. But generally, I look for the strongest behaving markets, because that would just be essentially tripling up. Now the S&P and Dow, some of the correlations have broken down a little more recently, so I try to target the ones that have been the strongest or the weakest. Weakest, I want let's say we have a double top, I want to go after the ones that have been the weakest. We have a double bottom, I want to go after the ones that have been the strongest. Why? Because they're the ones most likely to complete the patterns. Hello, welcome, Wavy. Yeah, it's finally got in. You get these kind of rallies. What you get these as long as 13,900 holds. I am bullish. Well, I'm glad. I was showing this with the Russell because for all you IWN players, it's really nice horizontal channel here. Really nice. Okay, you can even see this all the way down to the 5-minute time frame here. I don't particularly like it on the 5-minute time frame. I'd at least be looking at the 15-minute, but you see breaking above. Now this could gap above tomorrow, but above here, you have a nice gap fill, and then you have some clear path move above there. So this could be a really nice long potential breakout play tomorrow. So please, for the IWM players, keep that in mind. I'm doing a reverse harmonic here. And look at this. Oh, you got to love how markets can. So here, you have a gap fill and your harmonic. So there's the targets. Just keeping that. That could be a very interesting play on continued strength in the morning. DAX is having a little trouble inside day. Essentially today, if it does rally, I'm watching 14,285 tomorrow, but nothing. That's not my go-to stuff. Crude, we have that double bottom play. Look at that. Stall out at the first target, which we talked about this morning. Stall out at the second target. Inventory numbers came out. You got the little pullback and then through the final target. So that is all done. So what's my outlook on crude? This is sort of in no man's land right now. So I need a new setup. My next key area I'm watching is about 105.75 area. Above there could be a little pop higher to about 108.50. I can't take it back to the short side until we break down though below about 100. Why 100? Here's a great example. Here's your 4-hour rotation zone rising up. So if we pull down, I'd still be watching. Even though we're in some consolidation, I'd still be watching here. But you can see here this little pattern. Let me show you. All right, we got some candle bodies in here. Confirmed by this low spike. Confirmed by these two low spikes with the rising rotation zone. So if we break down below that, it would go to neutral on the 4-hour, but you're into a clear path move. So that would be another potential short-term scalp to the downside. Other than that, nothing going on. Gold. All right, let's hear it for harmonics, please. If you learn one thing from this channel, please learn harmonics. Because we put these levels up. And look at this. Again, look at this resistance right here at the major harmonic level. That doesn't mean it has to be the full term topping point, but look at this. Look at this reaction up there at that nice pause. So it identifies key levels where if you're trading around a core position, you can take something off and then watch for that pullback. If you want to hold longer, you raise your stop. Next target above here on a continuation is 2011. But those harmonics have been in place. It was a reverse harmonic box, so that was pretty much in place since the 30th of March, once it broke out to the upside. Let's just see. We don't have a great pausing long-term bar yet, but this gives me at least an area, but I'd really be focusing on about 2010, 2011. Silver. Finally getting the move on, getting closing just above here, 26, which as I talked about today was the first target. Above there, we're still in this tight little area, 26, 27. And then I start watching for the little breakout play to about 27 area. Notes. Remember, we get that bottoming pattern continuing up. Cannot get the close. I want to point this out too. We have the retracement and the 50% level. Remember how important that is. And look, here's your 50% level. And here was prior price action. So this is where you combine stuff like harmonics, prior price action. So you see, and you focus on candle bodies again. So you see here, look at that. Spike up to 50% harmonic. Could never get a close even above this resistance level. And then pulling back to prior support with the rotation zone. So if this can't get a rotation up here, then I start watching for the bigger pullback. What would tip me to bearish, since we couldn't get the close above the daily rotation zone? What would tip me to bearish? Beautiful price action, 120, 120.01. Why that level? We have the run up. We have the 62.5 for harmonic. You get a close below there. Favors a retest between 119.18 and 119.11. Other than here, we'll start watching for a potential run-up play. And you see here, even at this 37% harmonic, this key support, if we pull back a little more to 120.16, we'll be watching for the roll-up play. Dollar index pulling back off the 151 harmonic. Can see right there with a little, this was still qualified as a little quick little double that already just pointed out, just for the sake of people looking at doubles. There you go. So that's with your targets. But nothing else there. Watching here again. Now we have on the bigger time frame below the 4-hour rotation zone. So I'm watching for the bigger pullback, and I'll be watching closer to if the rally continues back around 99.31. VIX, of course, the reversal down back below the 50. For the rally to really get some legs on, I want to see a close back below 2106. Custom mega cap index, nice strong reversal today. Still that double is in place. So tomorrow we get above 72.30. And again, this is Apple plus Microsoft plus Tesla plus Amazon plus Google. Above there, then my first major target is 73.36. Taking a look at Tesla, interesting right here on the 4-hour. It's sloppy on the 1 hour, but it's still valid on the 4 hour. And we finally got that gap fill today. So we'll be keeping an eye on a continued up move tomorrow. We did close above the peak here. So my next targets are 1043.62, 1054.92, and 1066.23. Not worried about the rotation zone in the way because it is flattened out. And this is actually a potential double cross pattern, which just means we got the bigger pullback on the higher time frame. And you can see the double just also on that daily. So does that mean new highs? No, that means I'm targeting these areas to run up and above that, then 1076. And you still have a slight little gap beyond there. So if on a, and this isn't just for tomorrow, but again, what is tomorrow's Thursday, but even Friday would on a continue, if the NASDAQ's strong, the next major target would be 1091 area. You're welcome. That was reference to the all indices at the same time. Yeah. How do I prefer to play index plays? Futures, especially short term. Futures, mini or micro contracts, depending on position sizing. Boring holiday price action. I mean, we'll see that toward closer to the end of the week, but we could still, even with this thins out, we could see a continuation of a rally, especially even with the boring holiday price action. And I don't know if we'll have that much boring holiday price action, especially tomorrow. Thursday will be slow. I mean, Friday will be slower. But if the markets thin out and this thing can maintain a rally, the thinner markets could just support a continuation rally. Hey, Mike, one thing we don't talk about much is volume. How do you incorporate that in your analysis? Volume should follow trend. So what I watch for is, now if you have major topping patterns that trigger, volume should come in heavy and then lighten up. If you have breakout plays, volume should follow the breakout. Or breakdown plays, volume should follow the breakdown. If you have if you have a breakout on very low volume, I give it a, that's where I really need that retest, because a breakout on low volume, you want breakouts on high volume, breakdowns on high volume. You generally want, if you're going to continue a trend, pullbacks into this ties in the rotation zone. Generally, you want the pullbacks to be on lower volume and then the rotations back up to be on higher volume. All right, so volume should follow trend overall, not every bar, but put it into context with an overall, with the overall moves, okay? For example, these up moves, you see how it was generally higher on Tesla on the strong up moves. You know, you're going to take an average. Got this little pullback, volume dropped, little push up, again, increased volume. Now, initially, we had a little higher on the first pullback bar, but then you see this continuation pullback, lower volume. And volume was thin today on Tesla, but you see, take an average on your moves up. You see how it was higher volume than on your pullbacks? That's just a little example of stuff you're looking for, and that's on all your different time frames. So that's the only thing I'm watching. Little lower volume today, but it did trigger a reliable pattern. So that's why I'm watching for it to follow through tomorrow. What's your interesting pattern on crude oil daily chart, Rich? What's your interesting pattern? I mean, we're breaking above a trend line, but we have a lot of stopping points in here. And this could just be a big consolidation pattern. Remember, crude tends to run and then go into consolidation. All right? See, crude, and I'm going back before the major volatility of the war, but run up. This we got consolidation, then the retrace, run up, consolidation, then the retrace, run up, then we got the big ramp up, but we could be into a big consolidation pattern. I may just trade the futures intraday now. Theta's killing me on something. That's why options are really tough. Yes, you get the leverage, but you have the timing aspect, and the futures are just so tight with the bid offer, and you can read the tape with the futures. So even if you're trying to play the options, I still got to watch the futures. And you're still leveraged with the futures. So, options just add, I think a lot of people, I know people like it to get the extra juice. And it's great for stocks, especially with setting up positions on the longer term, like spread plays and everything else. But a lot of people get hurt with options because they don't understand all the nuances, and they get, it takes trading to a little more, because you have to account for the time variables and volatility variables. So you're adding in two additional variables to your analysis. So now you have to worry about time, and is volatility increasing or decreasing? And how does that play out in my position? That's why I think a lot of people should more often than not stick and get really good, just trading underlying. And by underlying, you could trade the futures, or especially with micro futures, or trading just a stock. And then once they get really good, start adding in the other variables. Thoughts on Zoom? Thoughts on Zoom? Strong rotation back up. Let's see. What was the high yesterday? 114.70. This actually triggered a short-term buy pattern. So there's a short-term buy pattern. I just want to double check something. Pretty much at that 62.5 with the rotation back up. And I'm not playing this, but I'd be watching for 118.14, then a potential gap. As long as the rally continues, this is where a tight stop below 105.25. So again, if it drops below there, can't give specific trading advice, but that would be my stop level on this kind of reversal play. And one of the areas I'd be really focused on, 118 area to low 118 area to raise a stop, and then the gap fill play to the upside. And full target area again would be about 126, 126.40. Why? You got the 50, which you couldn't get up to before, and you are going against the weekly rotation zone still. So even if it pops up in here, we could see another rotation lower. So please keep that in mind on Zoom. And you don't want to see it close back below is 10. If you want to go a little conservative, go 105. Why? Close below that would take it on a closing basis below the 62.5, and then we'd be focused on, you still have a little gap here and a retest of the lows. So there's your Zoom. Mike, one of the things I find myself doing is when I do forward or double harmonics, I try to look for it to match up with levels in the past, as it helps me confirm these points chosen. And yes, remember price action. That's why I highlight those levels, because price action is key at levels. All right, you don't just blindly put something up. That's where I like the clusters. For example, if we were coming off this low to this key high with the harmonics, you see here, harmonic level. And don't focus on the highs or lows. Again, if you learn one thing from me besides harmonics, learn to use candle bodies, and most recent is weighs more than past. So you see here now you have a cluster. So we break above 449.50. I now have a target, and I have it with the harmonic and with price action. Then above that, I'd have 44.68 to 44.70 would be my next target zone. And why? Because we have the 37.5 harmonic, we have the projection harmonic right here, and we have the prior price action right here. See that? Strong reversal there, confirmed here. This was a little overshoot, but I'm looking, all right, boom, boom. You guys, this is an area of some significance. It's not the best level, but now I have a whole harmonic zone right here and price action. So that's the kind of things you want to start putting together. Rich descending triangle, I think you're referring back to crude. And you know how much I love triangle patterns. Yeah. But here's again my problem. Stopping point, stopping point, stopping point. So I have to go either on shorter term patterns, because this could just be in a consolidation. So that's where I'm going to start watching for shorter term patterns on crude. Again, my next key area. If you were doing here, if you were looking here, we don't have a great, see, that was the harmonic. That was your first harmonic coming up. Now we have this pausing bar. So this isn't the strongest harmonic because it's end of day, but here we have a prior on, this was on a higher time frame, but 105.69 to 105.91. Then we have 106.99 to 107.35. So if you're playing for a breakout moves, those would be areas to raise a stop, and I'd definitely be raising stops because we are in a very choppy consolidated price action. Twitter closed below. You know what? I did not look at Twitter all day. I was super busy today and did not look at Twitter all day. And thank you. Yep. I will be focusing now on the gap fill play. The gap fill play on a break below this 44.45 now. That's going to be a really interesting potential rollover play. Would not ignore, though, this would be an area once it hits there, move down a stop because it is in the daily rotation zone. So that would be a key area to, if you know, move down a stop on whatever vehicle you're using to trade it. If you're using options, you do your virtual stop with the price action. Where would a virtual stop be? A tight stop would be on above a 47 on a closing basis. All right, let's just take a glance at a couple of other of the mega caps. Apple did trigger a short-term buy pattern today, by the way, for a very short-term bounce. Where does that get invalidated? Below 160, below these lows right here on a closing basis, that play would be over. But I'm watching if it can get back above 172.57 for a gap fill. Interesting little play on Apple there. Microsoft, nothing's going on yet. Inside day, so nothing. We just had a rebound day. There was just some shorter term price action. This was a little aggressive buy signal, but it's got really challenging reward to risk. Amazon, which announced their hikes on sellers. actually had a daily buy signal. Again, aggressive buy signal for a move back up. You also see here pull back between the 50 and the 62.5 and the rotation back up. This rotation zone's flat, so that's where I'm not paying attention to it, and the weekly doesn't matter. These, I'll just watch these harmonics for those will be stop levels moving up. And where would the play be invalid? On a close below today's low. What else do we have? Just taking a look at some of the biggies. Google, nothing's really interesting to me here. You did get the little this little buy pattern right here, but that's again the weak sauce one. I'd much more be focused on Apple and Amazon, and or the potential pop in Tesla short term. Unless something changes overnight, I'm watching for a continued little rally. Yeah. BTC, welcome Dennis. Welcome Dennis. You want your crypto, a little double bottom triggered today. Sorry. First target hit, so your next targets higher are 41,808, so 41,800, then 42,213. And that's a really key target with this bigger pullback because that's your prior support becoming major resistance. So that's your upside resistance. And what gets interesting here is there's above there, the next target area would be, see the support turned resistance, the next target area 43,180. And it doesn't really get into some clear path until it gets above 43,800. So that's where we've got a lot of stopping points above 43,800, but this was a valid triggered double bottom. No problem, Dennis. I'm just glad you're here. Hey, welcome, Sean. Luna Crypto. And I'm not looking at it versus the tethers. That's an interesting position right here. Could get a nice little breakout play. That's what I'd be watching for on this one. The little breakout play to the long side. It's pausing at your 4-hour rotation zone. Your daily rotation zone is a bit above, so you got a little room to run. So a break above the high, this high, I hate, this is one thing, 88.4430, 88.433. These would be stop reductions, but my major target would be about 93 on that little breakout play. What's interesting here is in front of this area, you also have, I'll show you something else. It's easier to see on the 4-hour. You actually have pull down another line. Here's what's sort of interesting with this crypto play. You see this little horizontal channel here. What's intriguing is, so you have this little horizontal channel, you broke above it, retested it, and now we're pausing. So you've already tested key resistance, tested holding support. So that's where a break above there, it's a tight stop about 86.34 on a closing basis. Move up, stop, target areas. Those are the short-term areas. Again, educational purposes only, cannot give you specific trading advice, but that's how I would analyze this. And I, by the way, do not trade Luna. So I hope everybody saw that, because that doesn't matter if you trade cryptos or not. This is a really good, let me go back. This is really important. This is really important little pattern. So I hope everyone sees this is why you use the bodies. The bodies teach you so much more, and then watch for the price action to confirm what happens. So you see resistance shelf, support shelf, retested the resistance shelf, broke the resistance shelf, came up. You see these candle bodies right here, confirmed that resistance shelf, confirmed that resistance shelf, confirmed this support shelf, inside bar. So that's the kind of thing you can look for. It doesn't matter what market, because price action is price action. But this is a great little instruction. And why do I like it? Because, again, you have a really defined potential breakout play and a really defined stop area. And I'll give you another tip. Why do I like to do things on a closing basis? Because you see how this did not, it broke it very temporarily and then got rejected. You get these little moves that price action, you get people sucked in, and then it fakes them out. So I'm not watching for like a little 5-minute close above those areas. You know, if I'm playing it on the shorter term, you can even see the 1 hour chart. Okay, so you see how nice you got these little dips below, but I don't care about that. You're watching it on a longer term closing basis, and here's a nice area with your 1 hour rotation zone, which will get pulled up on the breakout, so you have that right in there. So that's just combining some concepts right there. You're against the 4 hour rotation zone, so a break above that, that takes that out of the way. You're almost into an advanced clear path play up to your prior support becoming resistance. Hey, Dan Jet. So there's your little price action lesson tonight. Let's see, Euro US dollar. Double on the 4 hour. We had this double right here, which is like that double top. Remember that double top in the dollar index? Since the euro makes up over half the dollar index, there was your play. There's your aggressive targets right there. And that's reversing, this key move. On a bigger time frame, this does not qualify as a double for me between this and this low. They are too far separated in price. So where would be the next key area I'd be watching for? Drag this down. Right here. That's a significant level. About 10, we'll just call it 10. It's 108.94, but I'd just be watching 109. Why? A break above there and a close above there on, you start getting above here on a 4 hour time frame with you could try to play a break closer, but you start getting close up in this area. You could see an easy little run back to this area, at least, if not retesting this channel. What would invalidate that? Because you always should know what would invalidate that. That's an easy one on this move. So how do I use this kind of stuff? This is key areas I watch for stops. So my stop would have to be back at about 108.40. Why? Because if you get the close below there, it's going to favor a retest and most likely continuation lows. All right, we got through a number of things. Hope you learned something. That's one of the reasons I'm here. Hope you learned something. And if you remember, if you're new here, you can always join our Discord server, link in the description. If I helped you out and you want to do a contribution with Patreon, buy me a coffee, do a super chat donation, it's always appreciated. The money goes straight back to technology. and other things to keep the channel going. So again, with that, thank you for being here. Remember, key numbers coming out at 7:30 Central Time. So we will have the live stream tomorrow at 8 a.m. Starts the countdown Central Time. So we'll be prepared for that. And thank you for being here, George. I'm glad you learned something. And again, the little teaching lesson was on crypto, but that counts for whatever you're trading. It doesn't matter. Chart's a chart. Thank you for being here, Eric. Any news for the weekend course? Working on, I think I'm going to run them live. So I just have to figure out the time frame, and it will be over the weekend, and I probably do doubles and head and shoulders first. So that's what I'm targeting. All right, with that, by the way, if you are new here and you did learn something, please do consider subscribing, ringing that bell, hitting the like button. Longer term people, please come back and leave a comment, especially with today's with the teaching. Just leave a little comment, great teaching session or great price action analysis or something, because it gets it in the feeds and more people can find out about this. All right, more people can learn to look at a chart and analyze it and help finding stops and targets and key levels to focus on. And then you can even, whatever you trade, if you traded MACD entries, you should still use targets and stops. So you can use these things. I don't care what entries you use. All right, with that, I will talk to everyone later. Bye for now.